On target number 1, representing Netherlands, Schloesser. On target number 2, representing United States of America, Sawyer Sullivan. And the live judge for this match is Türkiye.
So here we go, Mike Schloesser from the Netherlands, the world #1. Took his 4th Hyundai Archery World Cup title last season in Tlaxcala. Going up against the 19-year-old youngster from the USA, Sawyer Sullivan, who's ranked number 47 in the world. And this is his first Final Four. It will be the USA's teenage sensation, Sawyer Sullivan, to get this semi-final underway.
Yep. 10.
A big sigh of relief there after he gets the first arrow off. Arguably one of the more stressful arrows to shoot in a match like this.
Let's get this elephant out of the rooms early doors here, Chef. Your mates with Mikey, and you're keen to see him win, but you've had a few nerves about him this week, haven't you?
A little bit, yeah. I've seen a couple of arrows that we're not supposed to see or we're not used to seeing from Mikey. I've seen a couple of reds that I couldn't really place. So what I'm hoping is that he's in peak form and that he'll do really well. And I hope that he won't get a bit of a flare-up of the target panic that he's been struggling over the last couple of years.
So 28 from Schloesser. Okay, so perhaps not shooting at his very best first World Cup of the season, so too early to write off Mr. Perfect. But over on the other side of the shooting line, let's talk about this youngster, the 19-year-old from the USA, Sawyer Sullivan, part of history makers here in Antalya this week.
Yeah, he set a world record together with the rest of his team, laying down a 2,140 points with their team combined.
Yeah, Jimmy Lutz and Braden Gellantine, the other two in that lineup.
Yeah, so that's 713.3 on average, which is, if somebody shoots a 713, that's already a very high score. If you average that with 3 people, that's very, very impressive, and that makes sense because it's a world record.
Biggest score ever made, of course. And that's going to give him some confidence, but he doesn't seem shy of confidence, Sawyer Sullivan.
No, he seems like he knows what he's doing, or at least pretends to, but I'm sure that he knows what he's doing. Yeah, I'm keen to see how well he's going to do in these Final Fours.
First time of asking for him, and so far, so good. Sullivan from the USA leading Schloesser from the Netherlands by 29 points to 28.
Yep. Left side of the X, bud. Let's go. Good shot.
The shots don't look too bad, but this one was taking just a little bit longer than what we're used to seeing from Mike. So Sawyer might not have medaled at a World Cup before, but last year here in Antalya he got 5th, so just out of the top 4, but still a very respectable placement. And then he got bronze at the Pan American Championships, so for sure he knows how to shoot. He just needs to translate that to this senior field
to the finals range. Yeah, it's absolutely key, isn't it, that you get used to these conditions. But so far so good. A perfect score this time from Sullivan with a 30 out of 30. Another dropped point from Mike Schloesser. And look, let's face it, he's only dropped 3 points. It's not a bad score by any shape or form. I'd be pretty pleased with it, but by Mike's standards, it's low, isn't it?
Yeah, we're used to seeing convincing tens from Mike. So not only tens, but also he typically shoots them dead center. And yeah, I think, like I said before, that the field might be a bit tricky in terms of the wind that you don't really feel on the line, but there is some wind on the venue. But also maybe some nerves. It's the first World Cup of the season. You want to show what you're worth. You cannot really expect anyone to just go on there and not have nerves.
Yeah, you talked about target panic as well. Perhaps we'll get into that in a little bit more detail, but we certainly saw that from Mike Schloesser, which was heartbreaking, I have to say, a couple of times when I was watching, that he was going through such trauma. Trailing here by 2 points, Mr. Perfect needs to find that form again as we go into end number 3.
So fun little detail. When we're gonna see the target again, the impact of the arrow, you're gonna see the marks to mark the arrow holes, and they're all pointed towards the middle. And this is deliberate because if you have a dark spot on your target, your eyes automatically get drawn to it. So it's this. Maybe it's more like a what do you call that? Like I cannot find the English word.
Psychological advice.
Yeah,
it tricks your mind into
exactly.
thinking.
Yeah. So it's steering your eyesight into the middle, and I don't know if it actually works, but it's.
But everybody does it, so.
Well, not everybody, but it gets done by more people than just Mikey. So.
Well, another perfect 30 for an 89, and increasing his lead because it was another 29 from Mike Schloesser. So yeah, I mean, it is an interesting point. Is it subconsciously, does it draw you into the centre? I don't want to dwell on Mike Schloesser having target panic, but for those viewers who are watching, what the heck is target panic? Chef, just explain it briefly. What is it?
So target panic is, I would say, a mental block of some sort. For a lot of people, it is just anxiety. So anxiety to fail or to show failure.
And you usually feel it. You usually see it at full draw, don't you?
Yeah, typically it manifests itself mostly in compound archers, where people shoot a trigger release or a back tension release, where they make the release go off rather than waiting for the release to go off by subsequently pulling back. So yeah, it's a tricky thing where you don't get the choice anymore to make your own shot. Your brain makes a choice for you.
Not a pleasant thing to happen to any archer. Here in end number 4, Schloesser trailing by 3. Really needs to find a way back into this match.
Sawyer seems like he's just chilling. He's just having fun. Obviously, you can see he's a bit nervous and he's a bit excited, but...
Oh boy, you mentioned the red, and there it is. Sniffs the opportunity, you feel, Sawyer Sullivan.
It's a good recovery, but trailing by 5 points, or depending on what Sawyer does here, it's harsh to go into the last round.
3 perfects in a row for a 119. And as you said, Chef, or as you predicted, a 5-point lead now for the American teenager going into one more end, just 3 arrows per archer. So I know that you've done a bit of Googling, and you were talking about marking the holes in the target, but you couldn't, I said subconscious, perhaps subconscious benefit, but you found the word you were looking for now.
Yeah, superstition, that's what I was looking for. It's a superstitious thing where it might help, so you might as well do it because it doesn't really cost any extra effort.
Like your lucky pants?
Yeah, pretty much. Not my lucky pants in specific, I hope. But
well, one would hope that you're not sharing those with Mikey Schloesser, but I get your meaning.
It didn't seem like such a bad shot, but yeah, obviously there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, that you've been seeing these uncharacteristic reds, i.e. going outside of the 9 and 10 ring from Mikey Schloesser. He delivered on cue, perhaps not exactly what you were hoping for.
No, quite the opposite, actually.
We are in the situation that we're in. Mikey Schloesser, believe it or not, 5 down in this men's compound semi-final.
He's shooting them really well. He just sometimes has these stray arrows that, like I said before, I don't really know how to place. And Sawyer's just, he's on point.
Absolutely staying completely focused on for a 4th perfect in a row against Mr. Perfect, who's been far from it, but showing what he can do. A perfect 30 to finish with a 144. You can see this is Sullivan's for the taking. Drops only his 2nd point of the entire match, finishing on a 148 out of a possible 150. That's some great shooting from the American teenager, and it didn't fluster him in the slightest that he was facing Mike Schloesser, who's having his own issues, but you can't take anything away from Sawyer Sullivan. A 148 is a great score.
Yeah, and 148 with a lot of really convincing and easy shots. So yeah, he's doing really well, and it means, as a matter of fact, that we will get a new World Cup stage winner. We've never seen any of these 2 archers win a World Cup before.
Very good point. So confirmation that Sawyer Sullivan from the United States of America is through to the gold medal match, where he'll face Joseph Bazanski from Slovakia. Mike Schloesser will be back out very soon to play off for the bronze medal, and he goes up against Mode Jawadi Mazuki from Malaysia.